Oh no. All right, so the cops are pulling me over right now. This is what I do when the cops pull me over. Now, first things first, before I pull over, I take my phone, which is locked, and I get the video out. And I hit video, and then I'm gonna put this down. Now I'm gonna safely pull over to a well-lit area, and my phone is recording. I never need to tell the officer I'm filming. Too many times people tell me the officer didn't let me film. You didn't need to tell them. They have no expectation of privacy, so we don't need to let officers know when we are filming them. Then you're gonna put your window down a crack. Before you start driving, it's in my best opinion to get your registration and insurance, the most recent ones available, they're already ready. Your ID's easily available. When the cop gets to your window, you can have all this out the window ready to give him or her. If the cop asks, why did I pull you over? You know that I never answer cops' questions. If anything, I say, why did you pull me over? The only other thing is to always refuse searches. The most important thing to do is to always film the police. Why? Because we know what the police say isn't always the truth, and they treat us very differently. It is no question that black and brown people get pulled over and treated much differently with police than myself. And so I share these things to encourage everyone to film the police before you pull over safely. Thank you for watching, and please share this message. Face ID. This post is about Face ID and why never to use Face ID or thumbprint, because the cops then can legally or illegally, but physically get into your phone, whether they force it or whatever, they try to make your thumb touch. But if it's a passcode, we have a Fifth Amendment right to never incriminate ourselves. So we can not share that passcode, and we can never be penalized or punished for doing so. And they can't get in your head and get that passcode unless you say it. So it's important, Face ID. All right, check this out. So the LAPD is apparently pulling people over and then asking us for our social media accounts. Now, unfortunately, the cops already know mine. However, if the cops were to ask me for my social media accounts, if the cops ask me where I'm coming from or where I'm going, I have one question back at them, and it's if I'm being detained or if I'm free to go. If I'm being detained, I'm going to invoke my Fifth. And I'm going to say that by either saying I remain silent until my lawyer's present, or I invoke the Fifth until my attorney's present. That's a couple ways you can say it. Once you do that, you remain silent. You don't answer another question. If they ask you what time it is, do you know where we are? You say nothing. Once you invoke your Fifth, which is your constitutional right, you say nothing after. Period. This is why you always film the police, because the cops might say you said something you didn't. So make sure that the phone is recording. Always film the police. And if you need to know more information, go to YouTube, search Mrcheckpoint. Share this. Yo, if Illinois is the first state to prohibit a cop from lying to a minor, then what does that say about every other state and minor and not minors alike? It means this: the cops can lie to you. The cops can tell you that your friend ratted on you. The cops can tell you that they have video of you doing something wrong when they don't. The cops can lie, they will lie. So don't talk to them. Use your Fifth Amendment, invoke your Fifth. Say that you are not speaking to them until your attorney's present. I remain silent until my attorney's present. All right, so someone got pulled over, and you know what I remind you to do. It's to always film the police. Now, you want to make sure you do it before you pull over. A lot of people send me videos, and they say that the officer did not let them film. The officer shouldn't even know you're filming. You don't have to tell them. They have no expectation of privacy, because officers are public servants, and if they're pulling you over, they're certainly on duty. So make sure to always film the police. They shouldn't know. You should be filming before you pull over, and then put the phone down. It doesn't have to be video. If you put it in the cup holder, you might catch some video, but if it's audio, that's good enough. It's your word against the officers, and in court, unfortunately, we know what happens. And that's why I also want to recommend you to do jury duty. It's the #1 thing we can all do in our communities. When we vote, we are 1 in 30 million. But when you're a juror, you're 1 in 12, and you can make the ultimate difference in someone's life in your community. It's the reason people are going to jail that shouldn't, and cops aren't. Field sobriety tests, FST. What are they? That's when the officer says to you, hey, have you had anything to drink tonight? And you go, no, I haven't. All right, well, how about this? Follow my finger. Follow my finger. That's the beginning of his field sobriety test. Horizontal gaze test. Walk and turn around. Stand on one leg, jump through it. Touch your nose. Say the alphabet backwards. These are all field sobriety tests. In California, we have the right to refuse them. Now, sometimes a PASS test, a preliminary alcohol screening test. It's a handheld breathalyzer. Sometimes this is actually considered a field sobriety test. Now, if you are over 21 or have never been convicted of a DUI, not on probation for a DUI, you can refuse the PASS test. Think about it as I pass on it. Officers are supposed to tell you that the PASS test is something you can legally refuse. However, they probably won't. Again, over 21, no prior DUI, you can refuse all field sobriety tests. Now, what do you have to do? If the officer has probable cause to think you're drunk, he can't ask for, or she can't ask for, a chemical test. That can be a chemical breath test, a urine test, or a blood test at a hospital. Depending on what's available and where you are, they may require you to do one of these. Failure to do so can result in at least a 1-year license suspension. It's something like if you have a prior DUI and reckless driving, it's a 2-year. If you refuse twice, it's 2 years. If you refuse 3 times, it's 3 years. And it goes up from there. So it's not something you want to do. There's also a fine, I believe, of $125 if you refuse it. And that fine, I don't believe, goes up. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not a lawyer. This is my opinion. I'm Mr. Checkpoint. I share the DUI checkpoint information to millions of people. I myself was wrongfully arrested for a DUI, and that I refused the field sobriety test. Exactly what I'm saying. You can legally refuse. I did. The only difference is when I refused it, the officer retaliated against me, and instead of, I believe, actually thinking I was drunk because I was sober, he was mad I exercised this right to refuse these tests, and in a sense punished me. Because I recorded this stop with my phone, and I wasn't holding the phone and recording his face. As soon as I saw the lights behind me, I hit record on my phone. So the dialogue between the officer and I was all recorded, and I had a copy of it. I was able to use that recording to file a lawsuit against the Santa Monica Police Department for this wrongful arrest, and I ended up winning $70,000. A lot of people say to me, Mr. Checkpoint, this exact thing happened to me. I was wrongfully arrested for a DUI. The first thing I say to them is, do you have a recording? Do you have any evidence? Again, I'm not a lawyer.